Good day, fish tankers. Today I'm going to speak a little bit about goldfish. There's something to me about the simplistic beauty of a goldfish. It's a fish that got many of us into the hobby, along with maybe guppies and Siamese fighters or bettas, but they are also a fish that's been abused a lot in the hobby. Would you like to know how to keep them properly? Then stick around and find out. Firstly, let's see what's the difference between a koi and a goldfish. I've seen a lot of people mistakenly buy baby koi as goldfish. Now a koi, you will see it's got two barbels there by the side of its mouth, those short little barbels. And you see in among the koi there's another koi, you see the barbels, and this fellow here up at the screen, that is a common goldfish. You see no barbels, and a common goldfish is a single-tailed short fin variety. There you see the common goldfish again. It's a goldfish that looks the most like a fish. If a child would draw a picture of a fish. There you see the koi yawning with two little barbels and the goldfish without the barbels. Now there's basically two main varieties, the single tail varieties like these comets, and here you see some common goldfish as well as comets with the longer tails, and they require a huge amount of water. They're better kept in ponds or very big tanks. And this is the egg-shaped, round-bodied, fancy goldfish, and with a double tail of course, and that's the ones that I'm going to be concentrating on. Now people, repeat after me. We do not keep goldfish in bowls. Now I know if you my age as a kid, we've all kept them in bowls. We've maybe even sold them in bowls. But we did what we did then because we didn't know better, and now that we know better, we do better. Goldfish need a lot more space than a bowl will allow, and we all have a story about the auntie who kept the goldfish in a bowl and cleaned the bowl every week, and the goldfish lived for years. But that doesn't mean that it thrived, that's just surviving. And there's another myth that they only grow the size of a bowl. That's not true. Yes, they're not going to grow to the extent that their fins flop out over the opening of a bowl, but they will be too big and they will get stunted, which means that their organs still grow and eventually they die a nasty death. So don't keep goldfish in bowls, it's way too small for them. I want to say chuck these bowls in the dustbin, but I'll take it back. You can do things with it. You can do a little aquascape. Maybe you can put a small nano heater and filter in it and put in some nano fish. But please, Darrow, rebrand this. This is not meant for goldfish at all. A goldfish requires a fancy goldfish about 80 liters per fish, and then 40 liters for every additional fish. So this is the size that I like. It's a 4-foot 200 liter tank, 55 gallons in the American. And that's where I had the most success, and these are a few pictures of my old goldfish that I had many years ago, but they did well in a tank of a proper size. And they also need proper filtration. You can use a bigger hang-on backs, you can use a canister filter, you can use under gravels, but it's got to be adequate filtration to process their waste because they're messy fellows. But they do not like too much flow, so you got to turn down the flow a bit or deflect the flow somewhere, because the goldfish do not like being blown around. Here you see a very nice red cap oranda. That growth of skin on its head is called a wen. Now they're not very fussy as far as water parameters go. They'll live in most sort of aquarium waters, pH 6.5 to 8. But I've kept my goldfish in soft water before, they were fine, but they do like a little bit of hardness, a little bit of minerals. I find they do slightly better. And if you have very soft water, you can add a bit of crushed coral to the water. You'll see there's some black orandas also with a wen, and that's a bit of crushed coral. You can add that to your substrate or in a mesh bag in the filter. And sometimes if goldfish struggle with buoyancy or reddened fins, add a teaspoon of salt for every 4 liters of water. As food goes, there's plenty of proprietary goldfish food on the market now. I like hikari, I like the pellets, but make sure their food leans towards the vegetable side. And extra duckweed is great food for goldfish, will keep them regular. And then a nice trick, vegetable by cichlid pellets made for mbuna also great for goldfish. And then of course blanched baby marrow and peas, just like with your plecos, the goldfish will appreciate that. As far as plants go, they tend to uproot plants or eat plants. You can try the more robust plants like Vallisneria or Amazon swords or maybe Anubias, and put some pebbles over the root base. And the other thing is, watch out for sharp decor. You can use some mupani wood or rounded stones, but try and stay away from sharp decorations like spiderwood, for instance. Plastis planticus is maybe the best idea. And then as far as tank mates go, we don't have a lot of cold water fish in South Africa. I found white cloud mountain minnows to work well with goldfish. They're small, but they are too quick for the goldfish to accidentally gobble up, and I found them to work well. Here we've got some goldfish. When my trip in the UK, those are some ranchus without the dorsal fin. And here we have some more fantails. And for us in South Africa, you'll gasp at the price. I love these Ryukans. I've had them as well in the past. Lovely fish with their squat bodies. I find them very cute and very personable. I had them living for years in that 4-foot tank. And different colors as well. These, I think, with a selective breeding with fancy goldfish, this is almost a little bit too far for me. The pearl scales, I'm not a fan of those golf ball like bodies. I always worry that it causes buoyancy issues with a fish. And I think on that topic, temperature wise, goldfish can live in unheated aquaria indoors for the fancier varieties, but I do find they like a temperature somewhere between 20 and 23 to 24 degrees Celsius, between 68 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. So you could put in a heater, just set it lower than the tropical temperatures. They do like well oxygenated water, and you can always put in an air stone if that becomes an issue. Here we see goldfish in an outside pond. They're great pond fish as well. The fancier varieties don't like it icy cold, but in South Africa's winters they'll be fine. We don't have ponds freezing over and that sort of thing. And they also look nice when you view them from above. Those non-fancy goldfish, for comets and the common goldfish, they do very well in ponds as well. Can go with your koi too. Koi of course require even more water volume. So I would say the fancy double-tailed goldfish, they're good for aquaria inside. Ponds are also fine, but the single-tail varieties, you can keep them in very big aquaria like this one. You see some comets in here as well with a fancy goldfish and the common goldfish. And this is a very big pet tank at the Exotic Animal Sanctuary, Butterfly World, just outside my hometown. So if you have a really good big aquarium, then the single tails can do well. But for most people, they'll do better in the pond setup. Well, that's it, folks. Please give the channel a like and a subscribe. And until I see you again, take good care of the domestic denizens of the deep.